Welcome to the Scientist with Heart podcast, my open diary of academic life. This is a space where I share my personal thoughts and reflections on research, teaching, and university life. These are my own opinions, and the aim is to spark discussion, exchange perspectives, and gather insights from others navigating the academic roller coaster at the bench and in the lecture hall. How to organize a lab day and how to organize it around all of the seminars, talks, and duties that we have as scientists in the lab. Especially PhD students now, they have to juggle a lot of tasks. The graduate schools offer mandatory seminars and talks and workshops. They're invited speakers. The department has seminars. The institute has seminars. The lab has seminars. There are progress reports. So the usual week is filled with slots that you cannot work in the lab. So how to organize your lab work that you can still be productive in the lab pipetting, but also go to all of these talks and seminars. The secret is, of course, time and self-management, and the secret is having a calendar and planning ahead. The planning ahead is one part, and the earlier we start doing that, the better our organization skill becomes. But what is the harder part that takes longer is getting experience in the lab, because a calendar only goes so far as booking time slots. And of course, if I know my Monday starts from 9 to 10:30 with a lab meeting, and then around 1 I have another seminar that is remote, but it takes about half an hour or 45 minutes, I'm aware that I only have 2 hours in between my morning meeting and that lunch online meeting. I only have this small time slot for work, and then there needs to be a break in the protocol, and I can continue in the afternoon. So how to organize around such a tight schedule? The secret lies in knowing what takes how much time, and that is a little bit growing with experience. So I know that I can do a mini prep in an hour from start to end. I know for isolation of proteins, I might need only half an hour if I speed it up. If I do the extended protocol when I have a lot more samples, then I might need 1.5 hours. So I plan into my day in the calendar experiments in a way that I know exactly that they fit into the time slot. Moreover, I give myself always a little bit before and after time, because you need to have a little break before and after. Things can take longer than expected. There can be a queue at the centrifuge, and so on and so forth. I put into my calendar what is mandatory, what I cannot change. Then I put into my calendar the priority for the week. I arrange the experiments according to how much time they take on the days that I can execute them properly. And of course, we also shouldn't forget overtime. If I know that I have a time crunch between two seminars that I have to attend, I'd rather not start with an experiment, because if it goes wrong, I have to prepare the samples again. So I'd rather start after the second seminar and then work in the evening a little bit longer. That's personal preference, and many of my colleagues do it the same way. A topic that now arises from this question, how to organize independently, is there even a way to work independently in a group of people? Definitely it helps to be very social in a lab, so stick with booking systems, talk to people in advance if they need a certain machine or incubator, and just plan and book also equipment ahead of time. That facilitates workflow and ensures that others also will not take away if you have booked for something. I also want to be blunt. Sometimes these seminars and mandatory events, they seem really a waste of time. So at times I would just prefer to work in the lab, exchange my work with my co-workers, and at some point go to a conference to get broader feedback. But all of these invited speakers, the internal progress reports and lab meetings, and then you have to join mandatory classes for the graduate school when you're a PhD student, it can be really time consuming. So some PhD students decide to work at night or on the weekend to just have a continuous 8 hours of time to just pipe it, basically. And I can understand this very well. So apart from saying, yeah, well, you can organize yourself independently and prepare time and self-manage, I would also say the science community should think about what is really necessary and where we can maybe tune back a little bit with all of the mandatory seminars. What are your thoughts on this? I think it's a difficult topic, and the views change depending on which stage of academic career we are, because seminars are important, and it's also important not to lose track of where the scientific field develops into and so on. But just from I'm a scientist, work at the bench perspective, it can feel like a waste of time. And I know that many of my PhD student colleagues over the years also considered a lot of seminars a waste of time. So 2 questions: how do you see that? And maybe also, how can we reshape seminars and scientific exchange formats so that they are more efficient and that they fit better into our lab workflow? That's a question for the future of science and science education. Let me know in the comments. I would be curious. I don't have the answers to this topic. I have just a lot of questions and thoughts around